live, checking my connection, and we're live. There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you're doing well on this, wow, hot Tuesday. This climate's been absolutely ridiculous. We went from very ridiculously triple digit crazy hot temperature to quite where we had to wear jackets here in the facility to now warm again. And we have these heat warnings that have been coming through our phones and will continue to extend through Thursday, which is pretty crazy. But anyway, we are here nonetheless, live and direct. We're here at the Bisimoto facility. Lambda Menace, brother, how are you? So good to see you. Lambda Menace, for those of you who don't know, is someone who is actually an individual who's a gem after my own heart. And what I mean by that is I love technology, I love it. I was just talking to one of my technical partners here today, Paul from Carbon in Poland, and he's trying to help me with the new build we have coming out in SEMA, and we're talking about some of the interior accoutrements that can make the car look very cool. And I was quite honest with him. I am a big on technology. I know how to make things go fast and fun and reliable, but I'm just not 100% amazing when it comes to aesthetics. This chap, Lambda Menace, does it all. He loves technology, he's hardcore, he is just an amazing individual, and he's big on aesthetics too. So he loves to go fast and look good doing it. And he has some great news. He said he got the confirmation from the doctor today. He is cancer-free. Lambda Menace is cancer-free. Oh, yeah. That's great. Just got the news today. Congratulations, brother. I'm glad to see that. And you know, every day is precious, and I appreciate all the insights you gave me when we spent some time at the most recent Fuel Fest. So thank you so much. And God bless you. And by all means, you know, let's enjoy life. Let's make this worthwhile. It's great news indeed. And Diecast by Room 68 says the same thing. So thank you so much. And speaking of being thankful, I'm thankful to have all of you in this forum. I have all of my friends here on Instagram Live. I have YouTube Live going on simultaneously. I have a few folks there. TikTok is always reigning supreme with some opportunities and friends and family all across the globe. And then through the podcast networks, I use Anchor, now known as Spotify Podcast, to cascade this lovely message of interaction throughout all the different networks. So it's pretty good indeed, which is pretty nice. Okay, let's see. What's new, says Jay Hunks Maniego. Well, the team and I are here building cars like crazy. We have client cars like those in the background. There's an intercooler right there chilling for a build that's going to SEMA as well. SEMA is kind of coming up, and we have 6 cars in tote, which, you know, Jonathan frowns at me, but we have like very few of the cars. I think we only have 1 car in-house. The rest are still away. We have a new car coming tomorrow that we have to start on. So between customer builds and also projects for the upcoming SEMA, it's been a bit of a zoo. Lambda is already drooling. Glad you're free from cancer, says Andre Tuna. Yeah, thank you so much. We are pleased as well. Corvolt, fellow engineer, love interacting with him and a great contributor to the Tuesday Bisimoto Tech Tuesday show. Says, do a 360 on the Model 3 PCS. Turns out it just has several firmware versions in the controller. Just needs to correct for slight differences in CAN message. It's not an abandoned development. Well, keep me posted, brother. I've been doing some crazy stuff recently with CAN, and it's been quite interesting. So Corvolt, you know about the AEM CCU we talked about. It's typically a unit that should be tethered directly with the AEM BCU, but I've had the success in allowing it to act as a combined charging unit, both for a DC-DC converter and a 6.6 kilowatt charger. I've had that happen as a standalone using CAN controls from the Orion BMS2. So that opens up the world to not just those individuals who have AEM controllers. You have the opportunity, depending on your CAN protocol, to send digital message to it, to be able to activate not only the J1772 segment of the controller, but also your DC to DC over 1500 amps output setup, which is pretty nice. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, a DC to DC is pretty much a glorified alternator that we use in EVs. Like this petrol car right here has an alternator where you turn a belt and it generates a low voltage output of 14.4 volts. We do the same thing with EVs where we take a 360, 400, 403, 450 volt system and we bring it down to 14.4 volts or thereabout, whatever you want to command, to allow all your low voltage accessories to work properly. So yeah, that's what's going on there. I've been updating the open inverter with a lot about it. Oh, good. That's a form that is chock full of information. So yeah, thank you so much, Ben N says, do you keep your bed in the corner or do you sleep in the cars? The times that I have been here where we've had overnights, I do sleep in the cars. I've not had a bed. I've actually, the closest thing to a bed is up front in my sister Lindsay's office. There is like a little couch there and I've slept there before. But in the past, I've been kind enough to bring the Odyssey here and I sleep in the Odyssey, which is quite comfortable, to be honest with you. Cheers to you, 1ME. Thank you so much. What's the car behind you? The blue one says Matthias Zek PL. That is the Bisimoto twin turbo. Let me get my rubbish head out of the way. That is a twin turbo setup in an M16. It's a 1975 Porsche 930, clad with the American M16 answer to the Kremer K3. It's a Group 5 race car body. The power plant inside is what is known as a twin turbo 996 water-cooled setup with a 997 gearbox. Has an action clutch controlled by AM Infinity. The thing is ridiculous. It's 920 horsepower on E85, which is amazing indeed. Drive-by-wire, liquid-to-air intercooler, runs on ethanol, flex fuel capabilities, digital dash. It has all the modern technology you'll see in a proper petrol Porsche, chucked in an old school classic Group 5 race car. So that's what that is, you know? Oh, so many great interactions here on TikTok. Forgive me for not, embracing you guys. Says, Mr. 2, love your work, brother. You're an inspiration to many. Wishing you the best. What's the plan on the red car? That red car is a proper 930. This came to us from Utah. The gentleman is here on Instagram. His name is Jeremy. We are building a 630 horsepower electric power plant in a proper 930. So it looks absolutely beautiful. The most beautiful car in this facility, the most beautiful Porsche by far. Absolutely impeccable. That's why it's wrapped in this protective sheet, because we don't want any rubbish happening to it. We don't even want birds pooping on it. So yeah, it has a single drive unit in the rear, RPM limit of 18,500. It's a 32 kilowatt hour battery pack. Very nice balance, has a battery pack in the front and in the rear to allow for that nice low center of gravity. The batteries in the rear are lower to allow for impeccable handling. You look inside the car, nothing gives away that it's EV. There are no crazy screens. There's a factory shifter. There's a factory style analog gauges. The only thing that gives away is, wait a minute, the tach doesn't stop at 8,000, it's 18,000, it's 20,000 RPMs actually, the tach. You look at the fuel gauge, it looks like the same shape, but it doesn't say gas or oil. It says like volts and also state of charge. So it's just like small things. To the untrained eye, it looks factory. Until you get on the pedal and you look inside, like, oh, I only have 2 pedals. That's strange with a shifter. The shifter is there to initiate gear. I'm gonna do a video on this one once we're done in a few weeks from here, a few days even. And then I'll give you guys a full proper tour of how a Bisimoto EV could do and how it does retain the essence and panache of a classic Porsche, but with modern day propulsion technology and speed. So it's just amazing. It has a nice little sound to it as well, which is pretty good. How do you like EV versus petrol 911, says Mr. 2. Honestly, years ago, and I talk about this quite a bit on my interactions, and I share this with the team from time to time, I hated EVs. I didn't want anything to do with them. That was my thing. I was a guy at BC, revving on people, shooting flames at lights, doing crazy burnouts, hooning, having a great time. And I thought that EVs were for losers, pretty much. I thought EVs for people who were tree huggers and wore hemp sandals and people who didn't care about performance. I regurgitated what I heard, that EVs had no soul and they were just not for people who were performance oriented. I was like, oh, even customers will come here with a model. I had a client who became a friend, who's a bank manager here at US Bank, and I refused to get his Model S. Then I had a client who also brought quite a few NSXs to get tuned here, David, and he just loves NSXs and build them and bring them tuned, but he drove a Model S daily. I wouldn't even sit in that thing. I wouldn't sit in it. I refused to sit in the car. That's how biased I was. Until I built what the shape is. This is like the K3V, the pink and gray Kremer 935. And the first time I drove it, which I reluctantly built it, hated building this car. And with half the power, with just 16 kilowatt hours, it blew my mind. Just the battery, I was thinking I was putting out 800 amps, and it just blew my mind about how the acceleration was amazing. And when I was done putting it all together in full tilt, the 0-60 was 206, has a supercharger whine. It's changed my life. And in California, I don't have to worry about emissions anymore. I always felt a little bit of guilt with the petrol engines. Yesterday, I drove all around town with a big old wing in the back of my car because I didn't want to drive my diesel truck. So I just felt better about having a zero emissions vehicle. And the fact that it's really fast, it has a nice performance sound to boot, it's a win-win for me. So I love it indeed. It's been great. It's been great. Have you seen a Porsche RWB body? It says MJ120970. And you know, MJ, that's my fault. It's my fault because I don't promote that combination enough. And what I mean by that is, yes, not only have I seen RWBs, Nakai has been to our facility a few times. We have built 6, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 RW Bisimotos, which all of them are boosted with exception of 2. I've done some videos where I showed that. We had people from this one gentleman who's from the Ohio area, or say actually Illinois area, who is just a big into cars and has a bunch of dealerships with his father. We built one for him. We built one for a gentleman who has a big facility out in Arizona, whose dad is a very prominent actor. I don't want to give away too much. Built an automotive one for him as well. Did one for another entrepreneur. Did one for the owner of Crooks and Castles. We did one for EA, the Electronic Arts Need for Speed franchise. Built one for them as well. I need to start posting some of these as reminders. But yeah, we've done quite a few. And Nakai is a very talented individual. I like the look of the cars because they look very, especially the air-cooled ones, they look like a really exaggerated GT2 track car, so I like that. And then we finally brought some Bisimoto flavor to it to make it match its looks in terms of speed. So yeah. Are you attending Luft 10, says LA Photographer Society? Yes, I am. And I want to talk about that today. Luft or Luft 10 is the 10th installation, is actually an amazing place when it comes to celebration of everything air-cooled that's Porsche in nature. You go there, everything from 356s to 901s to 917s to 908s, you name it, it's just 912s, 914s, 911s, 930s, 935s, 934s. It's just amazing. This venue for this year is at the Universal Studios lot. So I'll be there as a, how should I say, media individual. So I'll get in there early, get access. It's supposed to be a hot weekend, so I'll be there definitely in the morning, but that is the place to be. If you haven't been there before and you're in the greater LA area, that back lot where they film a bunch of stuff, just imagine that whole area where they film movies just transformed into a Porsche Wonderland, air-cooled Porsche Wonderland. Come out there. One of our projects will be there. There is the 935X, which is a 500 plus horsepower 935 factory. It's like a black and white vehicle, absolutely beautiful with a lot of amazing technology similar to this, but proper air-cooled setup. Will be there on display. And if you're there, come by and say hi. I'll be there and I'll do some lives for those of you who cannot be in LA, who cannot make it. I'll do some lives and take you all around and let you see what we have going on, which is pretty exciting indeed. Have you seen Diego Santiago Fat 5 Racing? No, I have not, Sammy Valdez. Appreciate that indeed, but I have not. And he said something that is a Mazda, is a Spec Miata, and Spec MX-5, and a Shelby Daytona would be amazing. Yes, it would, I concur. There is someone who did a Factory 5 style Shelby, and I think that car like low 10s in a quarter mile, which is pretty crazy, you know? Is the place behind you real, or can you touch my green screen? Says Yuck from YouTube. Well, Yuck, yeah. So it's not a green screen. I'm here. It's actually a real car. That's real. This is real. It's a real in-cooler with some vibrant stuff on it. Yeah, so, yeah, we are real. Everything here is real. It's not a green screen, but I appreciate that. I'll take that as a compliment. I'm having bad allergies today, which is pretty crazy, you know? Anyway, yeah. Can we get a Panamera Dakar? I love Dakar base builds. I'm gonna talk about that because I have about maybe 3 more chassis to get together for clients soon. And I'm convinced I want to do like a bit of an off-road Dakar kind of style vehicle. That'd be a good thing. It would kind of stretch what we do, because I've been doing a lot of Group 5 stuff. Maybe time to stretch your wings and try something a little bit different, you know? Good to see you, says Rob Thies from YouTube. Thank you so much, sir. Good to see you as well. Hope you're doing well. Yes, we are. We're just really overwhelmed. A lot of work going on here. trying to get some assistance to make things happen very quickly. We have a lot of cars coming next week. Eric said he's bringing cars next week, right? Like next week? God, we're gonna be inundated with vehicles in the next few days. So we had to prep for that, make sure everything is proper so we can get all the good stuff going for ourselves and our clients as well. Let's see here. Levin Tempo says, hey BC, how much to do a 991 Carrera center exit exhaust conversion? 997.1, not 991, 997.1. I gotta think about that because materials have got crazy since we did that last. Shoot me a DM. Let me crunch some numbers for you. It shouldn't be so bad. I'm sure Jonathan would be more than happy to do a conversion. He's nodding. He'll be more than happy to knock that out. And it should take us a couple of days to make that happen. Bearing that we have materials in house. But yeah, we can do that. And what we typically do is that we give a very nice kind of track style sound. We do remove the big, chunky, clunky, heavy exhaust in the back. We do put something that's a little bit more compact and give a nice tone. And then we do put like a bit of a Helmholtz tube there to get rid of any drone. So it's pretty good. Odyssey for the win, says Kai Darn. Hello, thank you so much. Oh, Huckleberry Finn is here, the gentleman of the hour. We were just talking about your car back there. We had a question about your vehicle and what's going on with it. And we just shared all the fun stuff and how it's just amazing where it celebrates everything classic 930 without taking away, but infusing with modern technology that's just a lot of fun with a nice tone to it. And when you sit in the car, when we're done with that, Jeremy Huckleberry Finn, you'll see your car still feels like an old Porsche, looks like an old Porsche, has the romance of an old Porsche inside. The factory shifters there, the factory pedals are there, the factory gauges are there. A lot of conversions out there have screens everywhere and buttons to shift. You open the ashtray, you press a button. No. You get in one of the Bisimoto builds, like that one that we're almost done with, you sit in it, it feels classic. To the untrained eye, to someone who's not a hardcore Porsche-phile, you're thinking a regular 930. Nothing gives you away except for your tachometer, 20,000 RPMs. Oh, it doesn't say oil and fuel level, it says SOC, which is state of charge, and battery volts. Wait a minute, my tach doesn't go to 8,000, it goes to 20,000 RPMs. Ooh, I have 2 pedals instead of 3, but the shifter's fine, everything looks fine. And then when you get on the pedal, hold on, it's the most terrifying. I just want to see Jeremy's experience, his face, the first time he drives that. He's going to lose his mind, just like I lost mine. Anyway, so that being said, yeah, that's really some fun stuff going on here. Okay, what do you think about the T2C versus the AM-VCU 275 for running large drive units, says Maristor Build in an EV swap? So that's a great question. Very good question. And I'll be completely honest with you. As even though I'm a huge AM advocate, I would give my true unbiased thought process on the two. If you are a tinkerer, or I've seen that with a lot of my peers who are engineers who just want to get into the EV world and they don't really know much about tuning or programming, the T2C is a good choice because you don't have to do anything. You pretty much use a factory drive unit, factory inverter board. There's a little flashing that goes on, and you have this fixed pedal map, and it's almost like a plug and play, almost like something you just put together and just go on. You do need like your phone, if you have to do something with mechanical switches to initiate gear, you have to do a little wiring, a little bit of changing the programming. You can use the screens. A lot of people use the screens with those. So it's a pretty, I think of it as like the Honda Flash Pro with CAN flashes for the EV world. On the AM side, what I love about AM is completely configurable. So what you do with Motec, Pectel, the AM Infinity, I'm a tuner, I start as a tuner. I love the fact that I have the flexibility with the 275 to do whatever I want. I can have different throttle maps. I can design my throttle map to match the driving style of the person, of the car. It's not a one size fit all. I can initiate creep easily and have infinite ways of doing the creep. I can have a sport mode, eco mode. I can have a ludicrous mode, a Bisimoto mode. I can have a standard map. I can control my air conditioning. I can control my CCUs. I can do so many amazing things with it. It gives me, my hands aren't tied. I can do everything I could do with a full engine standalone with that. So I can change the inverter board and have full control. So if I want something that mimics a factory Porsche setup, I can do it. If Jeremy with that car says, BC, I want to scare myself every time I get in this car, I can do it. BC, I want a valet mode, I can give him a switch to do that. it's infinite. So much stuff I can do with it. And I want some traction control. I want to change different traction control parameters. I want to expand a little. It's just, so one is kind of fixed. And I've had experience with that. I've had experience with my very first EV where it's kind of limited. I had to beg the gentleman who did the coding to like do anything. He's like, well, why do you need that? It was just, I couldn't do it. What I saw was what I got. I play with those. The AEM has come to the rescue where I have an infinite amount of tuning capabilities, and I find that very appealing as a builder and a tuner. And then I can tailor each one to my client's build. And for me, I can tailor my car to how I like to drive, which is amazing as well. I want to go crazy full torque, I can do it. I want to do limited torque, I can do it. I want to feel like a 10 car, I can do it. I want to valet, I want to give it to my mom to drive her, I can make it happy for her. I have infinite control. So those are my thoughts. I know it's a great question, but here I am. Dawn1 SER said, my favorite engineer. Thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words. I know there are millions of us out there, but I appreciate that indeed. I wish I could have my car built by you. Well, Chapas, Jonathan and I, we're down. I mean, you want to have us build it? We can do that, you know. Cheese Boy says, where do I recognize you from? Well, I've done quite a bit in the automotive world. If you're into cars, I've done everything from drag racing, breaking ton of records and winning lots of races, to doing some stuff on television. I've been on PBS, Secret Life of Engineers and Scientists. I've been on Top Gear. I've been on Jay Leno show. I've done a lot with Hoonigan. I was a Mythbuster with the recent reboot of the franchise. I was on Fastest Car. I was on, let me see. I did a Seduced by Speed documentary about, you know, people who are just doing dirt in the automotive scene and so on and so forth. I did a show recently, Super Turbo Story Time with Exhibit. So I've done quite a bit. So if you're into cars and into cars and telly, you're probably interacting with me in some format there, you know? Do you miss your debut time with the CRX, says Africa Twin 2007? Yes, I do. Africa Twin from TikTok. I do miss it. I mean, it's the first car. It's my first love for Hondas. I continue to work with Honda, American Honda to today. We have one of the cars coming here tomorrow from them. Just a great brand. Allowed me the opportunity to really explore my engineering prowess as a student and as a graduate. And just the science and the basis was so strong for that particular marquee that allowed me to do wonderful things with the brand. Just great stuff indeed, you know? Mr. Honda stuff, he searched my mom, says Timmy Whitfield. Is this really Timmy Whitfield as in Andrea's son? And if this is Andrea's son, guys, I'm telling you, this is like a piece of history here. And I'll tell you guys a great story. If this is your mom, Timmy, this person, Andrea, amazing. She says, yes, your mom, as humble as she is amazing. Guys, once again, when we raced back in the day, I'm talking about late 90s, early 2000s, everyone was there. Not many Africans, so I was probably the only African I ever raced out there, but there were Latinas, Asians, Caucasians, men, women. It was just great. One day I went to Palmdale with my CRX to test, and I saw this sick CRX. It was beautiful, right? It was like kind of, I think it was yellow, and it had these tires and skinny that were kind of tucked in, not regular wheelbase, right? Like tucked in almost like a dragster in the front, but in the rear. And I'm like, dang, and I looked on the car, and it was like lightweight, rear suspension, tucked, skinnies. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. And it ran a fast time, came out. This chick came out, took her helmet off, blonde hair, I think it was blonde and then a reddish blonde. Cool chick, right? I'm like, oh my God, I love your car. She's like, oh, you're Bisimoto, I heard about you. We hit it off, became friends. She said, me and my boyfriend, Chris, I met Chris. We hit it up there, and they told me about the rear suspension. I'm like, I love it. She told me how she lost like 100 pounds right off the back end of her car. I'm like, I want to do that to my car. I dropped my car off to, it was called Hookups Racing, like the week later. And I had the same thing done to my car. I lost a ton of weight on the car. And we became great friends. And our friendship was so great, Timmy, with your mom, that I knew how intelligent she was. And you can ask her this and she'll vouch for it. I told her, you need to be a scientist. We need more scientists out there like that. You need to be a scientist. And she's like, for real? I'm like, yeah. And you know what? She went back to school and she got her PhD. She is an amazing scientist today, teaching, helping kids from all around the world, helping adults, young adults from all around the world become better versions of themselves. So that being said, Timmy, your mom is a great person. I know you just know her as mom. I remember when you were born, she's a great individual. Tell her I said hi. Until I wish her the best. I know she's been going through some stuff recently, but I hope it comes to pass. It will. Until I love her very much. She's a great individual, and I'm glad she's where she is today. Great person indeed. Okay, another question from TikTok. Is hydrogen and gas hybrid possible? Now, if you're talking about in separate entities, yes. If you're talking combination, yes, but it'll be kind of convoluted. Having a hydrogen and gasoline hybrid, are you saying that you're using hydrogen and gasoline as a propel fuel to initiate a hybrid electric? Or are you saying switching between hydrogen and gasoline as two different fuels? Either way, it can be possible. Maybe a little bit redundant, because with hydrogen, there are two ways of doing it. One is more easier than the other, even though it's more complex, being using the hydrogen as a fuel to generate electricity, to then use the batteries to discharge into an electric motor. Hydrogen could also be used as a combustible fuel. And the combustible fuel compensation is much different from gasoline. In other words, the injectors you need for hydrogen to be able to run it as a combustible fuel is significantly higher than gasoline. If you put gasoline through the same injectors, even at barely any pulse width, it'll be too much fuel to give you a decent, clean amount of gas in the exhaust tailpipe. So that means you have to double up and run different set of injectors for gasoline and different for hydrogen. So even though it can be possible, in my opinion, it's a convoluted, very difficult process. I don't quite see the benefit of doing that unless you have significant challenges with range anxiety where you may not have hydrogen and want to add gasoline to it. You could make them run, but it could be so cost prohibitive that it's almost like I live here and I'm trying to go to a place 10 miles away. I can either get into one of my cars and drive there, or I can build an airport here, build an airport there, and fly there. Both to get me to the destination, but one is a lot more involved than the other. Doing a hydrogen and gasoline hybrid, in my opinion, can be just as cost prohibitive, and I just don't see unless you just have a lot of money to burn and you want to try something out, I just don't see the benefit in doing it, but it can be done. If you're talking about a hydrogen hybrid for EV, it can be done. Gasoline hybrids already exist. So I hope that helps. Hello, Moto, says Dope is strong. Thank you so much. Would you build an EV 1968 Lambo Miura EV kit car in the future? Would you make that the first Miura EV ever? Says Sam Valdez. If I were to build a Miura, I'd rather do a proper one. I don't want to do a kit car. it's just not my cup of tea. And I think that vehicle, when done properly, can be absolutely amazing, you know? The chopper says, I wish I had Bisimoto money to have my car built by you. Just save up. Honestly, even when I was a student and I was doing all these crazy experiments with my CRX, I was broke. Do you know there was a time I had a pager and my $17 check bounced? Literally, I didn't have $17 in my account to pay for my pager bill. That, back in the day, pagers were a thing. Cell phones were just ridiculous. I remember cell phones were 90 cents a minute to use it during off-peak times. Jonathan's laughing at me. He's like, where did you come from? But yeah, we had the big brick Motorola phones, and if you had the opportunity to have a phone service, you could pretty much use it only for like emergency. And even if you dial 911, they charge you per minute. And off-peak, that's like from 4 p.m. onwards, was like 90 cents per minute. And so pagers were the best. When someone pages you, goes off, you go to your landline phone, you call the person back. Well, my pager, because I had as a student to be able to communicate with people, with my study group or my family, American family that took me in, and I bounced the $17 check. But it didn't stop me from saving up, working hard, and getting my car to be one of the fastest ones in the world. I just talked about Andrea a moment ago. When I met her, I was still a student, and I didn't have a ton of money, and it was really difficult for me, but I still made things happen. So that being said, yeah, that's the deal. Really good indeed. Thanks. Following says Hodgepodge video. Appreciate the follow. Thank you so much. Or start a pizza business trailer. Okay, that's totally different things. But I appreciate the interaction, Sammy Valdez from YouTube. Okay, let's see here. We got approved for media. Good job, LA Photograph site. I will see you Saturday morning, bright and early. Let the sun be in our favor. Okay, let's see here. Hello, the original Sasshole. Good seeing you. Thank you for joining. Dizzy S2K says, do I need to retune after changing out the fuel pump and upgraded wiring to the pump? Depends. If you have, and I assume you have this on an AP1 and AP2. If you are starving for fuel, and your starvation for fuel came at the expense of proper voltage to your pump, what will happen is when you update your pump, even with a proper fuel pressure regulator, factory or aftermarket, you are now flowing a lot more and running richer up top, especially if your tune was set up in such a way, which most tunes are for high performance, that in full throttle, you're an open loop. Yes, you would have to retune definitely for the high end, because one of the challenges when you just put a drop in, let's say AM 255 pump or equivalent, the factory wiring could be a limitation, generates some heat because the wiring is very small. Your pump may be demanding as much as it can, but only sees 13 volts, 12.7, 12 volts, 11.8. But when you upgrade your wiring, use a proper relay, it's now seeing a proper 14.4 volts. Your pump is now working more efficiently and pumping more fuel, and your regulator is doing its job by regulating, but instead of dying off with fuel supply, it is steady or better. So yes, a tune is in order, Dizzy S2K, to make your setup nice and enjoyable. Otherwise, you'll be running rich. And when you run too rich, you lose power. What's up, BC says 1 of 5,000. My son just got his license. Very good, congratulations. What starter car do you recommend? Something easy and affordable to modify. So you want to modify it, huh? It depends on your budget. You can give me a bit of a budget, I can tell you what to do. If you want something that's really cost effective, this is a ridiculous deal. I love the Acura RSX Type S. If you can find a clean one from a grandma who didn't abuse it, don't buy anything from this guy over here. This guy, if you bought his RSX, you'd be asking for it, because yeah, Jonathan is a bit hard on cars, he tracks them. Anyway, I digress. Long story short, the Acura RSX, my brother went through medical school with it, amazing car, very cost effective, easy to mod, easy to maintain, really, really good. If you want something that is really cost effective and something you can track if you're into road racing, people love the Mazda Miatas. Those are a lot of fun too, just absolutely amazing. Now, oh, he's like, oh, did you say no? He does like Miatas. Well, but honestly, they're cheap to mod. There are more Miatas racing any given race weekend than any other brand and model in the world. They are just a staple when it comes to road racing and so on and so forth. But if you have the budget and you have a little bit more resources and you want something that is easy and affordable to mod, I talked about this last week on my Tech Tuesday, Porsche Cayman, especially the 987s. So those hover in the upper 20 range. They're a lot of fun, so on and so forth. They're Porsches, mid-engine, very tossable, easy to mod. You can flash them, do an exhaust system, update the intake, really fun stuff. So 1 of 5,000, hope that helps. If you give me a budget, I can really hone in for you and make it much easier for you to decide on. Greet from Argentina, says Lucas Henriquez. Thank you so much for joining our Tech Tuesday from across the pond. Really appreciate you indeed. All right, hello to you, Chinemet GT3. Love your screen name, appreciate you. Vlad's Tire says hello, BC. Hello to you as well. Thanks for joining my Instagram. We'll see BC in the import drag race scene next year. That's the plan. So the team that I talked about already, I plan on bringing my Insight out again. This thing, all motor. Now, what kind of all motor would it be? Only time will tell. Yes, you will see me soon. Kanto Robo from YouTube says, dear Bisimoto, I just started a small engineering shop. 3D scanning, great job. And 3D printing, even better. What part should I focus on starting a small shop situated in Japan? Definitely go into companies, those companies that manufacture, and getting their opportunities for prototyping is very, very important. A lot of companies manufacture, but they always want to improve upon designs, find ways to make it most cost effectively. If there are big manufacturing companies in your area, even medium-sized manufacturing companies, walk in there, talk to them about your services. They really look forward to outsourcing small projects, improvement projects, or prototype projects outside because it's more cost effective to do it, less paperwork, much quicker turnaround. That's what I would do if I were in your shoes. All right, let's see here. What's up, BC? Much respect, says Aaron Love. Thank you so much, calling from Seattle. Appreciate you. Have you ever messed with motorcycles, says LF Strip 21. No, I have not, LV Strip. I just lost the Strip 21. I have not. I'm literally terrified of two wheels. Jonathan and I talked about this not too long ago as well. I appreciate the technology that goes into motorcycles. I am not worried about myself or my friends who can drive. It's other people around motorcyclists that are very rude to them. And so I don't see it as a very safe means of transportation. Even when I won 2 motorcycles on The Price is Right. Yes, I don't talk about that. I did go on The Price is Right and I won 2 motorcycles. I traded those 2 motorcycles in for something that didn't have 2 wheels. So that being said, I have not had the opportunity to play with it, but I do respect it. Big Elmer, hello, Uncle. Uncle Elmer, who I've known for many years, who helped me with a lot of piston designs as I became more and more prominent in the drag racing scene. Good seeing you, brother. Pyro Pops 151 from IG says, hi, BC, love this live stuff. Thank you. I'm in Rancho Cucamonga, not too far away, because we're here in Ontario. And I have a 2018 718. Good choice. I have a Cobb tune and fast speed exhaust. Can you do any more for that? What about a plenum? A plenum can help you because the 718s that's talking about a Cayman kind of setup, those are a bit limited in terms of flow. So I believe IPD makes one for yours. It does make a difference. It does make a difference to you. You already got a Cobb tune, you got an exhaust system. The only other two things I haven't done is a header because have you looked at your Cayman exhaust manifold? It is disgusting. It is a very poor design. Upgrading that to a proper header will give you some more power, and definitely that plenum will be a nice gift as well. So hopefully that helps. I'm glad that you are able to join us indeed. Sammy Sam says, join up from Whittier. Whittier is the city I lived in when I first moved to the United States. Family picked me up from LAX, dropped me right off right there at the house in Whittier, and it was great. I lived off Close Street, just a very nice area, and I had my first job right there off Telegraph. There was a Carl's Jr. there that's in Whittier on Telegraph Road. That's where I had my first American job. So yeah, thank you so much for joining this Bisimoto Tech Tuesday. Appreciate you indeed. 5OK3 says, which first car should I take between a 2024 Civic Sport Tuning or a 2025 GLI? I like the Sport Touring. I like the Civic. 2024 Civic, very nice. Very European design. I like that a lot. Do it. Do it. I like that a lot. And a lot of good support if you want to have some fun with it as well. Courtesy of our friends at Hondata. Just want to give Pura a shout out, says Destroyer Racing. Thank you for the support. Pura outperformed all oils I've used before. Much love, Beast. Thank you so much. Pura is my lubricant of choice. Look, I'm rocking the hat. I love those guys. Company that came out from the aerospace realm. They use a formulation that they just found absolutely superb in that region. Put in automobiles, and it's been fantastic. As a matter of fact, I think that's what they sent to U.S. government for all things aerospace and military. I have not seen a compound like that at all. We're talking about my Drag Race Insight. I gained 12 wheel horsepower compared to another proper synthetic oil. We're just using pure oil. So it's great. It's great indeed. What do you think about the 2009 CTSV? I love CTSVs. Those things are sleepers, especially if you do it properly unknown out here on TikTok. I love them. Great sleepers, lots of performance potential. You can mess around and hurt a lot of feelings with those. They're really good, you know? Question, says Iron Horse Cowboy. Are you the gentleman that has a 1,000 horsepower Odyssey? And yes, I am. I talked about the Odyssey earlier in our interaction today. And with that particular Odyssey, I've actually slept on it here in the shop. It's at my residence right now. And we took it to the most recent Super Street After Dark event. So yeah, it's quite popular till today. Canto Robo says, at Toot Hill Porsche, I have seen the 911K with a plenum that made from flax composites. Interesting. Is this something you're interested in, or do you outsource your carbon composites? I do outsource things of composite nature. We do a lot of 3D printing and design here in-house to test, and we outsource that indeed. Yes, that is correct. We don't have an autoclave or anything to do, even though Jonathan says he can knock those things out. I haven't had the opportunity to explore that with him yet. We have so much on the table, but maybe that will come very, very soon. I thought so, says the Horse Cowboy. You are the reason I started my Odyssey journey. I have an 06. Great choice. 06s are nice and light. Very reliable car, so keep that going indeed. Have you seen the Porsche's new 6-stroke engine patent? No, I have not. I have not seen that at all. Most of the technology that have come my way, you know how Google is. Google tends to, how should I say, compile information and share with you that you're interested in. Everything I see from Porsche has to do with their newer zero emissions technologies, the newer Taycan, the new Macan EV, the new Boxer EV, the new Cayman EV. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of that, but I haven't seen that. I looked that up. I am curious about newer technologies, especially if it has to do with something in that nature. Show your age, says Mr. JMJ, or whatever, James. James is a good friend who I met at Circuit City Yes, I used to work at Circuit City years ago where service was state of the art. James and I met in 1993. By the way, James, Mr. GMJ, is my senior. So how do you like that? Anyway, we did a lot of racing. He actually taught me how to install my first engine. He was a big Mazda guy, loved his 12As and 13Bs, had Holly downdrafts on his headers. Just had a great time. Beautiful, beautiful dark cherry, just blood cherry R7 on Epsilons. Just beautiful car. And he helped me a ton. So James, good seeing you. And my good friend, I call him Africa. Good seeing you indeed. Show the car, says Kabir. Kabir, I have a whole setup going on here. I have you on Instagram. I have my friends and family here on YouTube Live. I have TikTok going. I have Riverside also going, which I didn't export to Spotify podcast. I have a whole rig here, carrying that around a Sharpie hard. Plus, there's a car right here next to me that I cannot show yet. Can't show this yet until SEMA. So if you want to see what's next to me, come to SEMA. And after that, I'll be more than happy to do a shop tour because we have a lot of secret stuff here indeed, you know? Okay, what are your thoughts on the differences between hydraulic, electric, and manual steering? I was interested in planning electrical power steering and in an older chassis since Bunta 9086. I'll tell you what the team and I do here. At SEMA this year, we are launching a classic Rolls Royce, and that vehicle comes with a factory hydraulic power steering, which runs off of course, a pulley system that is actuated by the crankshaft. In the very front of our showroom here, we also have a center seat Porsche that I tend to track from time to time. Haven't driven that in a while. But it also is a Porsche center seat mid-engine setup, just like a Cayman and Boxster. Also has a hydraulic which runs off of the crankshaft as well. Because I want to release power on my petrol engines and because my EVs don't have the ability to have a crankshaft and a rotating pulley, I tend to update those vehicles with power steering pumps that are electric. So they're electric that actuates a hydraulic mechanism. And the reason I do that is because I want to retain the factory feel and the feedback that you see with a hydraulic system. Now it may be a little bit noisy because I realize that on electric Rolls Royce is drowned out by the exhaust sounds of my twin turbo Porsche, but it does give you that nice feedback, which is good. And if you set up very nicely with CAN, you can have the opportunity where it has most of the work in amps happening at low speeds, and the higher speeds it tends to pull away. Electric, on the other hand, like what I have in the Tesla Plaid that I drove today, gives me an indication that I'm a bit divorced from the ground. I don't have the feedback. Now it's very easy, and those programmed very nicely to be able to really remove some of the energy when you're at high speed, when it's easier to turn. And it's just as easy to turn at very low speed. So those are very easy to actuate, but you have very little, actually no feedback whatsoever. It's divorced. If you look at the newer Cybertruck, that is stored by wire. There's no interaction at all. So Bunta, as an enthusiast, if you like that feedback from the road, from the tarmac, to your steering, do what I do. I've used MR2 pumps, which are a little bit noisy, and they do carry some amps, but they feel really nice and grimy. It has a nice kind of heavy feedback to it. You can use something from the newer Volvos, like the S60, S70. You can use something from the Mazda 3, the newer Mazda 3s, like in 2012 and newer. And those Mazda 3s use a CAN protocol that you can implement. You can have a lot of fun with. So there are many options that you can have there. But yeah, by all means, use the hydraulic ones would be great. Well, guys, that has been a slice of heaven. It's kind of warm. I have to get back to work. Plus, I'm quite hungry. But anyway, it's a pleasure interacting with all of you from all across the globe. I really appreciate you interacting with me as we get closer and closer to SEMA. For those of you who are coming up soon, please, I look forward to seeing you at the upcoming Elliptical this coming Saturday. Cheers to all you Gen X tuners as well, says Team New Haven. I look forward to seeing you at the upcoming Elliptical 10, happening this weekend, this Saturday, at the lot of Universal Studios. If you're going to the, I guess we have another Hot Wheels event coming on this weekend as well. I think at the Irwindale, they have the Euro event that's also coming. I think it's like not the Evo Europe, it's a big Euro event that's coming up. That's at Irwindale. Anyway, no matter what you're doing this weekend, have a good time. Thanks so much for joining, and see you next week. Hope all is well. Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.